I'm
Great to see
good.
you. It's great to
Thank
see you.
you. Thank you.
So let's go ahead and start.
Okay.
And I am interviewing Chenoa. Am I saying it correct?
Yep, Chenoa.
Chenoa Murphy. And Chenoa is a classical violinist. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, you're saying it right.
Okay, I want to make sure. So she is a classical violinist. And when I say she has a gift, that is an understatement. She really blew me away with her music, and she almost had me in tears. So she really
Thank
does
you.
have a gift. And let's talk about how you got started in classical music.
Well, I started when I was 3 years old.
Hmm.
Um, the story that I was told growing up is that my mother took me to my first classical music concert when I was 2. The method in which I started learning the violin is called the Suzuki violin
Hmm.
method. And so that method was fairly new to the United States when, I was at that age. And so Dr. Suzuki himself was on tour across the United States with a group of Japanese children to showcase this method. So she took me to one of their concerts and she said I showed an interest and wanted to enroll me then, but was told that I was too young. So then waited a year later and I started when I was 3. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 years old.
Yep.
Oh wow, must have been a little tiny violin then.
Well, well, they start you on, you know how some butter comes in the box form. They start you off on something like that. I think the violin is the butter box, and then the ruler is the neck of the violin, and then so they don't start you right away with the real violin, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
from there, did you play violin all through elementary, all through high school?
Yep, I sure did. There, that's when music was in the schools, so I remember vividly in elementary school. In fact, um, some of my teachers who I would come across during my private lesson time, I would see them in my school, and so there was music program and strings programs in the schools in elementary school. So, and then in junior high or middle school, I was in the band. So I played the clarinet in the band. And then high school, I attended Overton High School for the Performing Arts.
Mhm.
And I was also in the
Wait,
youth
let
symphony.
me ask you, where is Overton?
Oh,
Let's see.
good, very good question. Memphis, Tennessee is where I'm originally from. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
hmm So over to high school, the performing arts for high school, and then I went on and got um, a bachelor and master's degree in violin performance from the University of Cincinnati, um, College Conservatory of Music, and then I did doctoral work
Hmm.
from the University of Iowa in
Okay.
Iowa City, Iowa. But that was much later in my life. But yeah.
Okay. So, tell me, do you have I think you said you have a nonprofit, or is that, do you have a nonprofit where you teach children?
I don't have a nonprofit, but what I do is excuse me, I teach actually two online courses and then a workshop.
Hmm.
So the two courses are called Introduction to Black Classical Composers and Musicians and Black Classical Composers and Musicians, The Journey Onward. And
Hmm.
then my diversity workshop is called Diversity from the Inside Out.
Okay, okay. Black composers. Uh, Now I recently heard, I don't know if this is true, that I think that it was Beethoven is black.
Yeah, that seems to be it came back up, I would say, in the rumor mill within the last 2 years.
Mhm.
But I believe that it has been confirmed as true.
Wow, that's really
Yeah,
great. Wow, Beethoven. Um, let's talk about some of the black classical composers, because a lot of people don't know that they even exist.
true.
So let's talk about name a couple of them. No, there was a, what's her name? I didn't write it down. I think it was in the 1940s. It was a black woman composer. Can't remember her name at this point.
Florence Price.
Bam,
Yeah,
bam.
she was born in 1887 and died in 1953. I do talk about her in my intro course. She was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, in an upper class family. Her first public performance was at age 4, and her first published composition was at age 11. And so she was, her mother was an elementary school music teacher, her father was a dentist. In fact, he was Little Rock's only African American dentist,
Mm,
and probably one of 12 African American dentists in the whole United States. And so, their social circle consisted of other notable African American musicians like the Marshall family. Harriet Gibbs Marshall was the first Black woman to attend Oberlin Conservatory, so that was a friend of hers. And William Grant Steele, who was another fellow composer. They were in the same elementary school classrooms. And so, just to give you an idea of who she was raised around and who she was, who her family interacted with. And so, life in Little Rock was pretty good for Black Americans at this time. Blacks and whites pretty much did business together. In fact, I mentioned her father being a dentist. He had white patients. Um, but then, as by the time she's in high school, she was valedictorian of her high school. Then life for African Americans became increasingly difficult because Jim Crow laws are
mhm,
coming on the scene. And so here we have this Black classical music composer and musician who became part of the Great Migration. I'm
mhm,
sure you're familiar with. So, where millions of African Americans migrated from the South to places in the North, the East Coast, the West Coast. So, she and her family, at this point, she's married to an attorney, 2 children, 2 girls. And so they migrate to Chicago, and that proves to be a very good move for her. This is where things really began to take off, and she made history. But before she even moved to Chicago, she went to the New England Conservatory of Music out of Boston, Massachusetts, and
mhm,
she was the first African American woman to attend and graduate from that school. And so, fast forward again to Chicago, she made history by being the first African American to have her composition performed by a major American orchestra. And in this case, it was the Chicago Symphony.
mhm. Right. What piece is she most famous for?
That's a very good question. I would say her Symphony Number One in E minor
Mhm,
gets a lot of programming across the country. Adoration, a piece that she wrote 2 years before her death, originally composed for organ, but there are so many arrangements out there now for solo violin and piano, or viola and piano, string quartet, you name it. So, Symphony Number One in E minor is one, Adoration is another. Um, so, quite a few. If people would just go to YouTube and type in Florence Price, you'll see
Right.
quite a bit. She has two
Mhm.
violin concertos that are being recorded and performed. So quite a bit of her music is being performed these days, which is wonderful.
Yeah, because I recently discovered her. My cousin, he is a classical singer. He sings mostly German.
Okay.
And we were talking about composers, and he said, "Well, have you heard of Florence Price?" I was like, "No, I've never heard of her." He said, "Oh yeah, you got to study her." So that's how I
Right.
found out from
Mm-hmm.
my cousin. So do
Okay.
Black people on a whole have do they have an influence on classical music?
That's a very good question. Do they have an influence?
Well, because I remember, see, I
Do
remember
you
Paul
do you mean do
Robeson.
we have roots in
Do
classical
we have
music?
roots? Do what kind of influence do we have? Because I remember Paul Robeson.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
so that's what I'm talking about. So I'm serious. I mean, I love Paul Robeson. I'm gonna put a
Yeah.
link to all this stuff in this conversation. But
Mhm.
so besides Paul Robeson and Florence Price, what do we have any type of influence on classical music, or do we have strong roots in classical music? Because usually you only hear of us being in, R&B or gospel, those types of genres. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, what is our influence on classical music?
Oh, that's a very good question, Janine. We definitely do have very strong roots in classical music. I like to say, even though, um, its roots were primarily out of Europe, you
Hmm.
know, but we definitely have our contribution
Hmm.
in this genre, going all the way back to Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a violinist, as well
Oh, I
as
didn't
his
know that.
grandson, yeah,
Wow.
as
Okay, I learned something.
as well as his grandson Joseph Douglass, who was the first African American professional violinist. So he's the first to play the violin as a career choice, and he concertized, across the country and whatnot. Um, William Grant Steele, like I said, he was a classmate of Florence Price. He was very instrumental in the Harlem Renaissance. So
Hmm.
he would take music and set it to different poems or different poetry from Paul Laurence Dunbar or Langston Hughes. Um, and then you have George Bridgetower, who was an Afro Polish or Afro European violinist, and he was a prodigy, and he encouraged Beethoven
Hmm.
to compose his Sonata Number 9 in A major. And so when they performed this sonata together, Beethoven dedicated it to him. So
Hmm.
it was the George Bridgetower Sonata, or the Sonata for the Lunatic Mulatto. However, the two men got into an argument over a woman. Beethoven was upset over something that Bridgetower said about a love interest of his. And so he snatched the dedication and rededicated it to a French virtuoso violinist by the name of Rudolf Kreutzer. And so for many, many years, even when I was in college and would, hear of this repertoire, it was called the Kreutzer Sonata.
Hmm.
However, as of I want to say last year, there's a publishing company out of London that is publishing the sonata again, but this time it will be called the George Bridgetower
Hmm.
Sonata. So that dedication has been given back to him. And then you have Joseph Bologna. He was a Renaissance man of his time, 11 years older than Mozart. He and Mozart were roommates
Hmm.
and knew each other and knew of each other's music. And it's very, I would say that he paved the way for Mozart, and Mozart was very jealous of him, because everything that Joseph Bologna touched, turned to gold. His symphonies were popular. He was popular with the ladies. He was handsome. He was, everything that Mozart was not.
Mhm.
However, for obvious reasons, Joseph Bologna is entitled or nicknamed the Black Mozart, but it really should be the other way around,
Mm.
because his writing style, his composition style, is very much Mozart and Bologna. Their composition styles are very similar.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, to answer your question, we definitely have very much influence in this field. And I think if more Black children in particular knew this, then perhaps they would want to play classical music as a career choice.
Mhm. Do you play other instruments?
No, I don't. Although I've had my fair share of singing, backup singing, and
Mhm.
whatnot,
Ooh.
and gospel music. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Do you think you could play us a little something?
I
Look
don't
at
have my
that.
I don't have my instrument out,
Okay, okay,
but maybe I can send you a link of something and you can
okay,
play it for people or something. But yeah,
okay.
I
I
wasn't
think
prepared
yeah.
for that, Janine.
Ah!
You caught me off guard.
Yeah, your face was woo.
Yeah, because I didn't know. If you had told
That's
me, then I
on
would
me.
have
I
been
should have said
prepared.
something. I should have said something. I just thought people who played instruments always kept them nearby.
Well, I over the years I've enjoyed having a life, so
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah. So I guess I'm not one of those.
Oh, okay. Cause my other violinist friend, he always had his violin. He said, "I keep my violin nearby. That's my what do you that's my it's like my he says it's like my arm. He said I can't live without it."
Oh, what's his name?
He's Joseph what's Ochoa. What is his first name? I haven't talked to him in years.
Oh, okay.
A long time.
Okay.
Something Ochoa. He's in Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
But he had a violin group. It's like 3 of them, and they played violin and they toured. Joseph Ochoa out of Houston, Texas, but I haven't talked to
Okay.
him in a long, long time. I used to
Okay.
follow him online, but, yeah. So I just thought everybody was like that.
Oh, no. No.
Well,
Oh.
I guess we're not gonna get to hear some violin today like I wanted to, but that's all
Well,
good.
I just should have I just if I was given a heads up,
Yeah,
then
that's on me. That's on
yeah.
me. That I messed up on that one. I should have said something. I'm assuming stuff. Don't assume.
Right.
So what else are you working on at this time? Are you doing any concerts or
Well, in addition to the courses that I mentioned and the diversity workshop, I also play in several symphonies here in the area. So, in fact, tonight I have a rehearsal in Decatur, Illinois, which is about 40 miles from Springfield, Illinois, which is where I currently reside. But yeah, so we have a concert this Saturday, and I'm so excited about it because we do have on the program Florence Price Concerto in One Movement is on the program, as well as William Grant Steele, his first symphony, which is nicknamed the Afro American Symphony. So those two pieces are on the program, and it'll be the first time that I have ever played those two pieces before. So I'm really really excited about the Milliken Decatur Symphony Orchestra performing those two pieces, as well as the standard Debussy Prelude on the Faun and that sort of thing. So this interview is right in line with talking about that. So
wow.
yeah,
Ooh, I wish I could tell
yeah.
you that. Man, I know that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we typically, I believe this orchestra streams, live streams, so I'll have to send you the link
Hmm.
to check it out. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Let's send me
about it.
all that, and I'll put it all in the comments below so everybody can click on that and watch.
I
I'm
sure will.
excited.
Huh?
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
very
because
excited.
it's the word is getting out. More and more music by Black composers are being played and programmed, and not just like I said, orchestras in my area, but even the New York Philharmonic and the big name, Chicago Symphony, Boston Symphony are starting to program, like I said, compositions by Black composers. So we're living in exciting times. I know that a lot is going on,
Mhm.
in the Ukraine, and the African students there, as well as the Ukrainian people, and
Mhm.
but like I said, there's progress being made on one hand, and then sometimes it looks like we're being set back a few steps, but it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, I'm gonna have another question for. Oh, so today's the last day of Black History Month,
Yes.
and I remember when I was in college, I was the question that was posed to uh, to the Black students by one of our Black professors was, should we even be celebrating Black History Month? Because Black history is 365 days a year. So why, I mean, why just have 1 month? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like that can be for anything. I mean, we have women's history, we have, Gay Pride Month, we have Black, so I think it's good to just have a month where that's the focus.
Mhm,
Yes, there's 365 days a year. Um, but I don't see anything wrong with having just that month to
mhm.
focus on our achievements, our accomplishments, our inventions. I just found out yesterday that enslaved Black people invented blue jeans.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah, I read
all
that. Mhm,
so it's always something that we can learn. And I think it's so important for Black history, Black people in particular, because, our ancestors built this country. And so practically every fabric of what we're experiencing now, from sugar to tobacco to the traffic light to, just every aspect of our society has been touched, influenced by Black people, and so that I think there's something to be said about that.
mhm.
So yeah, I'm all for Black History Month as well as Black History 365 days a year.
That was a really good answer. Because when he asked me that, I was kind of like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
I was stunned. It's like, I think we should, but then he was like, well, it's 365 days a year, so why, I don't even think we should be celebrating it. I didn't have a comeback, but plus I was really young at that time.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
and
like
then too,
19 years old.
right. And
Mhm.
then, when it's just because it's 365 days, it doesn't mean that people will pay attention or have that focus. But everybody knows at some point, in February, the focus,
Right.
is on Black history and our
Mhm.
achievements. So, yeah, and
Wonderful
we
answer.
deserve that focus.
Oh, yay. That's a good answer. Good answer.
Thank you.
And then the last question, do you call yourself, I've been asking everybody this, do you call yourself Black or African American?
I'm okay with both.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay with both, even though African American is, two continents, but I'm okay with both.
Right.
Either one. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, that was a short interview. And
Yeah, because you said it was gonna be an hour.
yeah, I ran out of questions. I wrote them down, but you're so good at answering those questions. I mean, I wrote down all these questions, but you answered them so quickly, you know. But I want you to send me those links, for your, because I want people to actually hear what I heard.
I'll send you yeah, okay. I'll send you
Yeah,
something. No
please,
worries.
because I'm people, when I say this woman is amazing, it is an understatement.
Thank
Yeah, I
you. That's
can't
sweet.
even describe what I felt. I have no words. I have no the words in the vocabulary to express. I mean, I was sniffing. My eyes were starting to get watery because it
Oh,
just, you know, how people say soul music. Well, her music really does touch. It touched my soul. That's the only way I can describe it. I felt it
oh, that's
deep
sweet.
inside and inside, and I can't. It's amazing. The talent that this woman has, and that she uses it to teach, and to teach children and teach Black children about Black composers. There's a lot of stuff that we just do not know. And she's
Right.
taking her time out to teach the children, and children need to know these things. I think if Black children knew how special they were, I think their self-esteem would be so much higher. But
No, absolutely. I
because
didn't, it wasn't until I was an undergrad, Janine, that I even began to think, I don't know where I was, but I remember thinking, I wonder if there's anybody, who looks like me who composed classical music or did this for a living, you
Mhm,
know, because that was my career aspirations at the time. And I came across William Grant Steele, and played his suite for violin and piano. So yeah, I want to reach more children. Right now I'm reaching quite a few adults, especially, string teachers and whatnot. But I really want to reach more Black children because sometimes I think, what would I be doing or what would my self esteem be like had I seen more,
mhm.
children like me or more people like me in this field. Just growing up, I don't remember feeling like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain because I was able to excel because,
Mhm,
my church was very supportive. Of course, my family was supportive. Um, but I just always knew, I was aware that
mhm,
I was the only Black
mhm.
child or one of
Right.
the few. I just
Mhm,
knew that that was a thing. I may not have had the words, but I knew it was a thing. So I think if we normalize this, our contributions and achievements in this field, then we would have more who would not only think of it as, white folks' music or something we don't do, or we
mhm.
only, involve ourselves in hip hop or rap, which is awesome because the halftime show was off the chain, but as we were talking earlier, we definitely have a very real history in classical music.
I remember when I was in college, I was in a music department, and all I was learning was classical, and I did not have that support. There was like two Blacks in the whole music department, me and one other,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the favorite. I was a newcomer, and so he was the
Mm.
favorite. And my voice teacher, when I had my final, we had to do a recital, and
Right.
and she didn't show up. She did not show up for my recital. And I was standing out there waiting and waiting for her to come, and then they said, "Okay, you have to go now. We cannot wait because you need to come in here and do your recital now." I said, "Well, my
Oh
voice teacher isn't here."
no.
Yeah, she did not show up. Yeah.
That's
So I went in
awful.
there and I did my recital, and then my grades came out. I made straight A's, and I told my voice teacher I made straight A's. She said, "Oh, you only made straight A's because you're a freshman, and they like to encourage the freshmen. That's the only reason why you made straight A's." So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and I was like 19 years old, and still very young and didn't understand, that this
Right.
was racism. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't put it into words. I didn't have words.
Right.
So that's why I switched to the theater department because I did not have that support in the music department. So I ended up being a theater major.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't want to go into acting. I just went into it because my there was and I asked can I went to the president of the department. I asked him, can I switch voice teacher? She didn't even show up to my recital. And I said, and then when I said I'm paying her when I'm in lessons, she takes phone calls. And I
Oh
said, "Can I said
wow.
and I said, "I wanna switch," and they say, "No, you have to keep the same voice teacher the whole 4 years." And then I
I had
so
a similar experience. Oh wow.
yeah.
He would show up for my recitals and stuff, but I knew I wasn't one of his favorites.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so
So
sorry to hear that.
well, that was a long time ago,
But
but
still.
it's that's really how I ended up in the theater department. I saw myself being on stage singing, in on Broadway or singing in doing classical music. But because
Right.
I couldn't switch my voice teacher and they were forcing me to keep the same teacher, and I lost like a whole year of credits because it didn't transfer. So I lost a whole year
Mm.
of credits when I switched from music to theater. So like the whole year didn't even count.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're out there now singing the German arias and the
Yeah.
Italian aria. Like we're doing it now.
Yes, we are. So that
Wow.
so that was my experience. But
Yeah.
everybody's experience is not like mine, and I'm glad that it's not. And I remember the year that I graduated, my school was predominantly white.
Okay.
The year that I graduated, we had an influx of black students from Houston. And then
Mm.
everything changed, but by then I was leaving, so I didn't get to experience the Renaissance, the Black Renaissance at my
Right.
university. So,
Right.
I was too early. So, but when I left, the whole university started to change the year I was leaving.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that
That's a
because,
rough story, huh?
well, it's just unfortunate because
Mhm,
everybody deserves support. Everybody deserves to, be nurtured and
mhm,
coached, because classical music is not an easy field to enter.
mhm,
It's very competitive and yeah, you deserve to have been supported
mhm.
and you should have been supported.
Right.
So,
But things
sorry
are
to
like
hear
you
that.
said, things are improving. There's people like you out there. So because of people like you, our young people can have better experiences and know that they are valued and
We
that
even have we even have two black classical music festivals for black classical musicians.
oh, I
There's
didn't know
Color
that.
of Music
Okay.
and there's Gateways Music Festival. In fact, Gateways is about to make history as being the first all black either organization or orchestra to play in Carnegie Hall. They're
Wow.
gonna, so a lot of progress and change has been made. So
And where is Gateway? Okay, you said
gate
Gateway.
gateways that is out of Rochester, New York,
Hmm.
I believe, and then Color of Music is Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay. So
Yeah.
look forward to that. We can check that on. We can Google that on and find out when these events are going to take place. Wait,
Yes.
so I thank you for joining me
Thank
today.
you, Janine, for
I
having
think I want
me.
to have you back on with
Okay.
your violin.
Yeah.
We're gonna do
So
that
I'll
again.
be prepared and I can practice.
I just sprung that on her.
I mean,
I'm
I'm
a
like,
study.
really?
That look on your face. It's like, whoop. So we're gonna
Look,
have to have her on again. And next
yes.
time I tell her in advance instead of just bringing it on her.
You are so funny. Cause I was like, okay, let's talk about that.
She didn't know who she was dealing with.
Yeah, so give me a heads up next time so I can be
You
ready.
oh, you dealing you don't even know. You don't even know who you're dealing with. Now you know.
Exactly. Now I know.
Next time.